welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, as far as yesterday's market, trade up is concerned, we actually saw the Nifty bounce back smartly, testing the support around 23,350 levels on Monday. Now, but still, the large market texture still remains non-directional. There were specific pockets that dominated Monday's trade. We did see a swift, a move of the fertilizer stocks last week, and they all sold off equally swiftly on Monday as well. On the other hand, it was the holding company stocks that sprung back into action, with most of them ending about 20% higher, and this is after a SEBI circular on a special call option for fair price discovery. The question now is, as far as the Nifty and the Nifty Bank is concerned, while the dips are being bought into, will the tops really sustain or not? So that's the key question that we will find out today. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mangalwar hai to mangal hi hoga, and for all those people who were awake till midnight yesterday watching India versus Australia, it's the same battle happening between bulls and bears on Dalal Street as well. What a fantastic match it was. Sakshi, did you watch it? Did you see Rohit's innings?
I was en route home, so I was hearing all of it while the cricket commentary was live. So yes, 29, I think, runs in one week, in 1 over of 6 balls is what I heard. So I'm not a very big cricket fan, but that turned out to be a fantastic first over for Rohit.
Yes, so Sharma ji के बेटे ने भारत की लाज रख ली और उसी तरीके से Nifty Bulls are back in action. You know, Sakshi, cricket and markets have such a long history of working together. When I'm back in office, I'll tell you some very, very interesting tales in the 90s and in the early part of 2000, what used to happen during a one-day match. In fact, the volume used to come to a pause. But nevertheless, let's get back to our markets. Ladies and gentlemen, we have, cricket is an unending discussion. I can speak for hours. But let's come back on the Nifty. As usual, you have the daily chart in front of you. The index shut shop at 23,530, 36 points higher. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is not the entire story. Yes, we ended in the green. Yes, we are in the last fag end of June's fantastic FNO expiry. But the real story is the 190-point bounce back that the Nifty had from a level of 23,350. So that is something that needs to be appreciated and absorbed. That at lower levels, somewhere around monthly pivots, weekly pivots, there is a strong demand from bulls as far as Nifty is concerned, and therefore you see these intraday bounce backs that are happening. As far as the Nifty is concerned, it may have closed flat, but it rose dramatically from intraday lows, and the 2 or 3 stocks that really helped that momentum on the long side were HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank. Similarly, we'll also show you the Bank Nifty chart. The recovery from intraday lows, which is to the extent of 560 points, is also dramatic. Again, a flat close on the Bank Nifty as well. But as I have pointed out, there is very, very strong support for private sector banks, in particular HDFC Bank, in particular ICICI Bank, Axis, Kotak, and of course SBI. And these are 4 or 5 stocks which are also a part of the Nifty. Therefore, the bounce on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty is almost concentric. They happen together. Now, with this background in mind and the fact that we have the weekly expiry due on Thursday, Nifty is likely to consolidate again in this very narrow trading band. Beyond 23,600, the bears make it very, very difficult for Nifty to move up unless there is some great news. And below 23,350, 23,400, the bulls make it very difficult for bears to push it lower. So this is this 200.1 percentage point trading range that the Nifty is trading in, and that's exactly what is happening on the Bank Nifty as well. One point of concern, Sakshi, is crude oil prices. They are now at $82 a barrel. I request the PCR to fire the crude oil futures chart. And Sakshi, above 200-day DMA, highest since May 1st. Crude could be a pain point for India in the coming days and weeks. The point I'm trying to make is, look at this chart. You will see that from the low of June 4th, the 14 sessions that have happened, in 10 crude oil has ended in the green. So there is very strong demand for crude oil futures at these levels, and the price that you see, $81.52 per barrel, is the highest since May 1st. If crude oil prices are high, then it negatively impacts the oil marketing companies, but positively impacts ONGC and Oil India. We'll keep that in mind, as also Hindustan Oil Exploration. So keep these two stocks in mind. Sakshi, the other thing is that Nifty has its final expiry for June today, it being a Tuesday, and the Nifty Financial Services Index, I'll request the PCR to fire that one. It closed at 23,071 yesterday. You'll be surprised to know that this index added 5% so far in the month. Let's see how the index pans out today. That's a 1,000-point rise that has come in the month of June. And if you look at from the low of June 4th, the voting day correction, the index, Sakshi, has gained 2,610 points, which is a 10 percentage point, 11 percentage point, actually a 13 percentage point uptick. So Nifty is something to be watched. Some of the stocks we've marked very regularly, LIC Housing Finance, Cholamandalam Finance, and of course Shriram Finance. All these three stocks have been top performers on this index in the past month, adding anywhere between 18 and 24% to their tally of May's closing. Also in interest will be all the telecom stocks today, Bharti, Airtel, Vodafone Idea, Reliance, Jio. That's because there is a 96,000 crore rupee spectrum auction. I think the demand will be muted, so these stocks will be in focus any which ways. The other thing that is going to happen in the broader markets is this block deal again, and this time Happiest Minds. Remember, we were discussing this counter in the last 2-3 days, well below all-time highs, but this is a season for block deals. Sakshi will give you more details, but the broad numbers are 775 crores. The transaction is for a 6% stake in Happiest Minds from its owner and founder, Mr. Ashok Soota, and the price will be somewhere like 826 rupees per share. And Sakshi, what's more important, the ruling coalition led by the Bharatiya Janata Party will be announcing and proposing the name for the Lok Sabha Speaker today in the new building of the Parliament. Now tell us, what are the cues that are coming in from Wall Street, and what are our foreign friends doing?
Absolutely, Shail. So US stocks recovered from initial declines as gains in various sectors beyond technology had outweighed a sell-off that slashed nearly $400 billion from Nvidia Corp's market value. And we did see that the Dow Jones managed to end higher by about 0.6%, but it was the Nasdaq that declined the most. Over 1% kind of a cut came in for the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500 slipped about 0.3% in trade as well. And rightly, as you pointed out, it's the Brent crude levels that we'll be watching out for. Brent crude was trading 0.09% higher at over $86 a barrel, so we'll be continuing to watch out for that one. Gold has declined about 0.2% as of early morning trading session. $23-28 an ounce is what the levels are indicating. As far as the Asia Pacific markets are concerned, shares here were trading higher largely in the morning trading session, and they disregarded overnight losses on the Wall Street as investors now await Federal Reserve official speech to get further cues about the policy path. So it was the Nikkei that was up by about 0.2% odd. Kospi was up by about 0.3%, and Hang Seng and Shanghai were the other stocks that were higher in trade as well. Now, as far as the GIFT Nifty is indicating a positive start for the Nifty index, about 30 points higher in trade. So we'll be watching out for how the opening settles and pre-opening trade settles. And as far as the overseas investors are concerned, they have remained net sellers of Indian equity. Foreign portfolio investors have offloaded stocks worth 653 odd crore rupees, while domestic institutional investors have remained net sellers and offloaded equities worth about 820 odd crore rupees worth of stocks right there. Now, as far as some of the stocks are concerned, I'm keeping an eye out on Satin Credit Care. The company has agreed to raise about 5,000 odd crore rupees through non-convertible debentures. Sun Pharma, the company has successfully completed the merger of Taro Pharmaceutical Industries. Then we also have stocks like Alcargo Gati that the company is now planning to raise about 200 crores by a QIP indicative price of 101 crore rupees, floor price of 107.07 rupees per share. That's something that is on our radar, happiest minds, as you said. Of course, there's this block deal. Promoter and executive chairman Ashok Soota has initiated a block deal to sell about 6% stake in the company. So we'll be watching out for how that one also reacts in trade today. Apart from this, we also have stocks like Wari Energies. The company has secured a contract for a 412 megawatt solar project in Rajasthan. Then Amra Raja is important because the company has announced a strategic technology collaboration with the Goshen Innobat batteries. So we'll be watching out for that as well. SH Kelkar, the company has entered into a share purchase agreement for sale of 40% stake that's held by KFL in Nutset Food and Drinks Labs, a deal worth about 125 million rupees, valuing the business at about 310 million rupees. And Swan Energy, the company's board has approved about 49% stake buy in TOPL for about 440 odd crore rupees. So we'll be watching out for how that one also really reacts in trade. And Muthoot Capital is important to watch. The company will be initiating registration process as a corporate agent with IRDAI. So those some of the stocks that I'm watching. And KIMS also. The board meet will be held on 28th of June. The company is going to be considering a stock split. So we'll be watching out for KIMS hospitals as well. So those are some of the stocks that I'm keeping a keen eye out on. Shail, and of course, you highlighted telecom stocks in the wake of Spectrum auction, although it indicates for the initial reports coming in that there could be a muted demand for this Spectrum that will be under auction today.
Yes, a muted demand for Spectrum essentially means that there is less competition for airwaves, and it means positivity for telecom companies because they will not be competing with each other as far as airwaves are concerned, and prices will be muted. Therefore, costs. Actually, Spectrum is the raw material that a telecom major buys from the government. So if competition is muted, prices are less. That ultimately benefits players like Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea, and Reliance Industries that operates Reliance Jio. Let's also, Sakshi, look at one of the pain points in the market, which is India VIX. I'll request the PCR to fire the daily chart of India VIX. Yesterday, it was up 6.6% again at 1405. And this is not exactly a pain point, but something that we are watching. Remember, the entire market is moving into the pre-budget rally, and ahead of a national event of importance, actually extreme importance to the market. India VIX typically moves very high, and we've seen it topping at about 32 on the day of the voting, and from that point onwards it's collapsed, but it's again sort of moving up when it comes into the demand. Okay. It's almost 8:45. Let me just introduce to you the guests that will be joining us till 10:30. Mr. Gaurav Dua, Head of Capital Market Strategy at Sher Khan, will be with us a little later at 9 a.m. Mr. Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst for Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One, will be joining us. And in the special show that we do regularly at 10 a.m., it will be Mr. Sanjay Sinha, founder of Citrus Advisors, who will be looking the market from a longer term view. Sakshi, a couple of stocks that we need to keep in mind. Remember, it's June 25th, just 2 days on monthly expiry. And outperformers include Motherson Sumi from the auto space. This is India's largest auto ancillary. 188 rupees is where the futures are trading. 23.6% higher. This was the top performing stock future in the auto space. We'll be keeping an eye out on smaller banks. City Union Bank 162. This was the closing price for the stock future yesterday, 13% higher. Dixon Technologies, a huge heavyweight, 24% higher at 11,613 in the past month so far. And the likes of Balrampur Chini, Granules India, Oracle Financial Services, 31% higher in the month of June so far in stock futures. Needless to say, this is a record high. These are a few of the lists that I have in mind. What are you watching?
A lot of brokerage houses that have come out with the reports, so we'll again watch out for Zomato. Remember, yesterday there was a report indicating 230 as the target price for Zomato. Now Goldman Sachs has come out with a buy rating and a target price of 240. It believes that Swiggy disclosures have suggested further share gains for Zomato, and Zomato's market share now is at about 56-57%. And going forward, Zomato's scale up is likely to be about 50% larger than its nearer competitor, and therefore they're betting big on Zomato. CLSA has also come out with a 248 target price on Zomato and a buy rating on this one as well. So positive reports coming in for Zomato. We'll watch out for that. Remember, banking space stocks pulled up in trade yesterday, and the lead bank HDFC from the private banking space is on the radar of Bernstein now. It has come out with an outperform rating on HDFC Bank with a target price of 2100, and they believe the ROAs are likely to improve from 1.8% to 2.1% in the next 4 years, driven by loan mix improvement, cost of funds normalization, and operating leverage that kicks in very soon as well. Now, apart from this, HCL Technologies from the IT space is on the radar of Investec. Investec has come out with a sell rating and a target price of 1300 on HCL Tech. It believes that the company had guided for an EBIT margin of about 18 to 19% for FY25 estimated earnings, but the note Q4 exit has suggested that EBIT margin for FY24 was 17.6% versus 18.2% at the end of FY23. So the company needs to ensure that its EBIT margin performance does not fall below 17% in Q1 of FY25 estimated earnings, despite guided 2% Q-on-Q decline in revenues for the Q1 quarter as well. So if that happens, that could be a marginal downtick, and therefore they have come out with a sell rating. Now, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank is on the radar of Kotak Institutional Equities. They've come out with an add rating, a target price of 57. After the management meet takeaways, they do believe that management has reiterated its focus on loan mix diversification, improving deposit franchise, and enhancing productivity as well. On the other hand, the last report I'm tracking is on United Spirits. UBS has come out with an underperform rating and a target price of 1,000. They believe that Haryana has increased taxes, resulting in a 20% hike in liquor prices, and they believe a subdued first half of the year outlook needs to be offset by a favorable volume growth outlook to provide some comfort on the management's double-digit FY25 sales growth guidance. Unless that happens, there could be some kind of a pressure built up. Remember, the stock is hovering around 1300 levels, and the new target is sharply down by about 1,000 rupees on USL. Shell. All right, I think we do have our guest with us. Gaurav Dua is with us, Head of Capital Market Strategy at Sharekhan. Warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Well, we're just about a month or less than a month away from the budget. All eyes are on that big trigger because right now the markets are seeming to be non-directional. It's several pockets that are taking sectoral rotation happening, that are taking their chances to really lead the or maintain the rally or the momentum within the market. How are you really looking at the market setup right now, and what is the strategy you're advising your clients?
So, these Indian markets have done well, pretty well. If you look at this larger picture, what has happened? You have been in a range. Markets haven't sustained below 22,500, and markets are struggling to sustain above 23,500. Right. So you've been in that range. You are on the higher side of the range. And during this time, this broader markets have been doing well. Both the small cap index, mid cap index are just close to their all time high. So I think market is in a constructive mode. That is number one. Number two, I mean, you are in a market where you need to buy the dips, especially because of the elections and what happened during the elections. A lot of investors have been on cash and they have been left out. So I think most of the dips will be bought.
Good morning to you, Gaurav ji, and a very warm welcome on Market Today. What are you advising investors in terms of stock picks ahead of the national budget?
So you know what is happening right now. If you see, there are two or three pockets that are doing well. One, there is this pocket of whole expectation that the rural economy will start to do well. After 2 3 years of weak demand, quarter 4 numbers showed, and especially the this in comments that has come from the companies, that there are green shoots there. So you will see, some of these rural specific stocks, especially the two-wheeler autos, Bajaj Auto, Hero. On the other hand, the FMCG companies, Dabur, and the Brokerage consumer on one hand. So these kind of companies, what we see is that there is buying, there is the depending on the rural demand pickup. Number two, where what we see is that some of these spaces which have not done well for past 1.5 year, there is some buying from the institutional side on that front, be it the private banks like HDFC Bank, and on some of the other stocks like this in Bharti Airtel, and then there is some kind of buying also in auto stocks like Ashok Leyland. Third thing is that on the run up to the budget, on the expectation, what you are seeing is that there is a continued rally on the railway stocks, defense stocks, infrastructure stocks. So these are the three spaces which I think is largely being seeing an uptrend, and I think that uptrend will continue.
Okay, Gaurav ji, you did talk about Bharti Airtel, and I wanted to understand from you the entire telecom space and how are you looking at it afresh, especially because today there will be this 5G airwaves worth about 96,000 crore set to take off today. And there was a time, and you would remember very, very clearly, when spectrum auction used to be a very big deal. It used to be the newsmaker, it used to be, probably shifting sentiments within the market as well. But the initial trends show that there could be again another muted, demand for these auctions that are underway, the current ones as well. How do you see the current scenario building up? And within the telecom space, where should one be really keeping their focus amid these new spectrum auctions now?
So, unlike in the past, you don't have a lot of players now trying to bid for the spectrum. And as you said, the demand is going to be muted. So, you don't have that hangover that most of these players will go and bid aggressively, and that is going to impact the stock and the stock valuation. So I think it will be a very rational kind of a bidding. Most of the players are going to bid for the spectrum where this thing they'll see the expiry of their spectrum license, and I think that is not going to affect the stocks. However, we feel that after these spectrum auctions, very soon you might see some increase in the tariffs also, and that is the indication that we get. And that is why you've seen this continued strong buying this thing support in this space, and Bharti Airtel has been our pick in this space.
Fair point to make, and Sakshi, I think this is the general feedback that we are getting from major brokerages also, that while this is an important event from the point of view of the government's fiscal deficit management, because you will get 96,000 crore rupees. For the telecom majors, it's likely to be some sort of a non-event because there is little or no competition, and in any case there is enough spectrum to be had. So with that background in mind, we'll be keeping an eye on all these telecom stocks as well. Gaurav, one point of how should I say common understanding is this very strong rally that we are seeing in two-wheeler stocks, especially Hero Motors, which is largely rural focused, not only ahead of the budget because as also on the spread of the monsoon. Within the two-wheeler space, what catches your fancy even at these elevated levels, whether it's a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler or a commercial vehicle maker? What can viewers look forward to in terms of a decent stock price appreciation over the next 1-2 years?
So I think Hero has been underperforming, and within that space, two-wheeler space, they have the largest exposure to the rural area because of their entry-level bikes. So I think if you want to play that theme, Hero is going to be the stock for you. Having this said, that we are also, we do like iShares, because iShares is a play not only on two-wheelers, but they are also doing extremely well on the LCV space. iShares is a stock that we keep on watch. Another auto stock to play is this escorts. So if the monsoon is going to be good, there is a decent increase in the MSP. I think the tractor sales outlook should also improve.
Gaurav ji, what about the auto ancillary space that continues to draw all the attention yet again? The bearing makers were doing well yesterday. Today again, Amara Raja has come on the radar of a top brokering firm, JP Morgan, which has now given a 1210 target on Amara Raja in hopes, although it is lower than the current price of 1380, they do believe that the technical arrangement that the company has done with the Goshen batteries is taking the steps in the right direction for the company. How are you looking forward to some such companies? I think even Shell highlighted Samvardhan Motherson as one of the top performers of the series within the auto ancillary space. What is your outlook here?
So yes, autos will do well. So because of autos doing well, auto ancillaries will also do better. But however, you need to keep in mind that the support from the lower commodity prices and the lower this cost base which was there on YOY basis is going to erode from now on Q1. So a lot of these players, you need to understand how are they going to play out in terms of managing their margins. So I think in auto ancillary space, you need to be very, very careful, selective, because the valuations aren't so cheap anymore. And basically, some of these players who also export, it's not very clear in terms of the demand overseas also, especially from say Europe. So auto ancillary is a space where we have an exposure. However, we are not increasing our exposure in that space anymore.
Right. Let's focus on pre-open rates, ladies and gentlemen. There is a mild downtick on the Nifty, nothing to be worried about. 80 points lower at the moment at 23,452. This will improve towards the better. Let's look at the three index heavyweights. In the red, HDFC Bank, 29 rupees lower, 1643. This will certainly improve for the better. Infosys, 27 rupees lower, 1500, and Reliance, 32 rupees lower at 2850. These are the three heaviest index weights, and should they be in red, even two of them, then obviously Nifty does not have a strong outing on that particular day on the last street. Now let's look at the top gainers. Axis Bank, SBI and Kotak, respectively at 1239, 11 rupees higher. SBI 838, 5 rupees higher, and Kotak 645 higher at 1779. Let's look at what the defensives are doing. I just want to see what ITC is doing in the green, 70 paisa higher. How about Hindustan Unilever, 12 rupees lower, 2430. let's just ignore these prices. They'll get better and better. Okay, Sakshi pointed out Amara Raja Mobility. This is a stock opening 2% higher, 1405. Kim's headed for a stock split. This is Krishna Institute of Medical Sciences, 7% higher, 2200 almost. What else is moving? Fundraiser Shobha Limited, again 3.5% higher, 2065. Remember, a rights issue is open at 1650. Craftsman Automation, this is news as well, 3% higher, 4988. Nothing much of interest as of now. What else is slipping? Okay, Aster DM had a block deal yesterday. The counter down 1.1%. Let's take a quick detour into F&O. Market is flat as flat can be. Okay, Realty is sticking 2.5% higher on Oberoi Realty, 1953. Bharti Airtel 1.6% higher, 1443. This is the Spectrum news. Nothing much if you want to mark Container Corporation, maybe 1.5% higher, 1064. Let's see what Happiest Minds is doing. This is of course the latest to enter the how should I say, block deal space. 3.5% lower, 885. 32 rupees lower. Remember, the transaction is set at 826. Promoter and co-founder Mr. Ashok Suta will be selling a 6% stake, 91 lakh shares at a 6% discount to the premium. Sakshi, this is what has opened. Nifty flat as flat can be. What are you watching?
Let's look at a few stocks that are in the news. Kalpatru Power, just now the announcement has come in. It's won an order worth 2,333 crores. Let's see if that one has reacted to the news. Kalpatru Power. And apart from that, we'll also look at all the stocks that are on the brokerage houses radar. No indication right now. Let's wait for the prices to come by. Zomato, let's look at that one. The CLSA and UBS have a positive target of 248 and 250 on Zomato now. 1.2% higher, it's opening above 201 odd levels. L&T is on the radar of Morgan Stanley with an overweight call and a target price of 3,857, and this is as the company has targeted carbon neutrality by 2040. And let's see if that one is reacted. Just about mild positive right now. HDFC Bank, Bernstein came up with an outperform call with a 2100 target on HDFC Bank. Let's see if that one has also reacted. And apart from that, we'll also look at HCL Technologies. There is a sell rating by Investec. HDFC Bank is also down by about 0.5%. Investec has a sell rating on HCL Technologies. Let's see if that one is reacted too. About 1300 kind of targets for this one. Flattish right now, absolutely. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, let's look at that one as well. And United Spirits, these are the other two stocks that I will track. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank is opening about 1.5% higher. Remember, the target price given is 57 by Kotak Institutional Equities with an add rating on this one. USL, that's United Spirits. Remember, with an underperform rating, UBS has given a 1000 target on this one with a 1309 kind of a level at the open. But let's welcome our other guest also on the show. I think we do have Osho Krishan now joining in. Senior Research Analyst at Technical and Derivatives at Angel One. Warm welcome, Osho, and thank you so much for taking the time out. What are you watching out for today?
Very good morning, Sakshi and Shail. Well, there are various counters which has given a very strong breakout in last trading session. So there are many counters which are in my radar, but from a trading setup point of view, Petronet is one of the recommendation that I will be having for the day, because Petronet yesterday has given a very strong hint of giving a breakout, although it has closed at the highest ever levels. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, the upside in Petronet is still there in the counter, and I am expecting for short term near about 340, 345 kind of a target for Petronet. While for short term traders, it is advisable to keep a stop loss around 314 odd levels. The other counter which is looking very positive to me is Bharti Airtel. Bharti Airtel has taken support from the 21-day exponential moving average, hovering around the zone of 1415, 1420 odd levels. So there is a buy recommendation for Bharti Airtel for a higher target of nearly 1455 to 1460 for intraday and even for positional basis. While stop loss is advisable to keep around 1390.
Fair point. Good morning to you, Osho, and a very warm welcome in the market. As you very rightly point out, there is a bit of a consolidation happening on the main indices, and we also have the Nifty expiry for the month of June. What, according to you, has the strongest rollovers in the Nifty as an individual stock future, and anything in the mid cap select Nifty set of stock futures that catches your fancy on the long side for the month of June, for the month of July?
Yes, for the month of July, the rollover has yet to happen drastically in major of the indices, because we are witnessing a kind of consolidation in key indices like Nifty and Bank Nifty at higher levels. While at the same time, one should definitely point out that the long short ratio has definitely surged on the higher scale. So this can give a hint of reaching the overbought terrain. So I expect that there can be a further consolidation to cool off that can be seen in major of the key indices for the first week of the July series. But overall, the undertone remains bullish because the broader market are looking very positive, and there are thematical rotation that is being seen in the counter. So many of the counters which have not performed, or which have been rotating from performance point of view, are looking very positive to me. So some counters from the cement sector have started gaining traction. So Ramco Cement is looking very positive. From here onwards, one can expect a decent up move. Even Grasim has given a breakout in last trading session. So from large cap, that can be seen into, or that can be considered from short-term perspective. So majority of the counters, the infra cement sector is looking very positive to me. And from power, like CG Power has given a breakout last trading session. So I'm expecting that there will be a mixed kind of a movement from different thematical movers, but key indices are likely to consolidate for the week. And even after this week, I expect that there can be a kind of cool of a profit booking that can happen in key indices.
Okay, got that. We will also look at some other stocks now. Remember, I was marking Kalpatru Power. It's now indicating a 3.5% higher start on bagging that order of 2,333 odd crore rupees. We'll also look at Borosil. That's again opening higher. Remember, the company opened QIP yesterday and has set the floor price at 331 rupees, and therefore you can see some move coming back on to that one. Muthoot Capital was also inching higher by about 3%. The board of directors have approved the initiation of registration as corporate agents with the Insurance Regulatory and the Development Authority of India, or the IRDAI. Amara Raja is now 7.5% higher in trade. That's something that we will watch out for. The company has signed a technical licensing agreement with a Slovakian company on the batteries front as well. Osho, any move that you track on Amara Raja that could be seen as sustaining and one should pick up?
See, definitely from here onwards, the news is very positive for this counter. So I was expecting to have a very strong gap up, but 7.3% is a kind of a very strong gap up for intraday trades. But still, looking at the technical developments, the counter is very positive, and definitely it has the potential to surge towards the zone of 1500 on immediate basis, because the previous swing high was approximately 1538. But that was a swing which one can expect to test in 1 to 2 trading sessions. So overall trend remains bullish, and I expect on the lower end, approximately near about 1420, 1435 should be seen as a very strong support zone for this counter. And on the higher end, 1500 followed by 1530 should be seen as the target for short-term traders. For positional or for medium-term perspective, yes, definitely the technical setup for this counter is very bullish, and one should stay invested in this counter.
Right. Let me just play the balancing part. Sakshi's pointed to a stock which is more than 7% higher. I'll point out to a stock which is more than 7% lower. So that will, settle the balance in the universe. Happiest Minds, 7.7% lower at 846. Again, this is the big deal boy. It's the block deal from the promoter. That is going to be floated on the market once we see it opening at 9:15. Gauravji, coming to you, this is of course something that we've been tracking, the size and the intensity and the ferocity of block deals that are coming into the market. Firstly, your view on Happiest Minds, if any, And what do you make of this sustained liquidity injection of equity into the market? Is it beneficial in the long run, or will this derail the bull market?
Yeah, so we don't track the stocks. I won't be able to talk on that. But yeah, talking about the selling that we have seen from the promoters. So from start of this year, we have seen around 65,000 crores of block deal selling, offer for sale from the say, promoters. Now this is more or less in line with the entire year number of around 62,000 crores what was in 2019. So in half the year you have done more than what was done in the record year of 2019. However, at that point of time, market cap of the entire equity market was much lower. So on the percentage terms, I think the promoter selling is largely in line with what we have seen in 2019. So that is where we are now. I don't think you can paint the whole thing with the same brush. You have to look at the stock wise basis, why the this thing selling has come, was it required, at what price PE, valuation it is being done. So I think some of the places the exit by the promoters have actually improved the floating stock on the counter, liquidity on the counter, and has this thing attractive some very good names, marquee names. Some of the places I think the stocks were overvalued, and some of the promoters have taken the opportunity to take home some money. And I think Happiest Mind is is just one of those kind of selling by the promoter.
Osho, very quickly, anything else that catches your eye right before the markets hit open? Any stocks that we need to keep on our radar?
See, overall, there are various counters. As I mentioned that cement sector is looking very positive to me. So from those sectors, Grasim is looking very positive. The other one from cash counter is CAMS. CAMS has given a very strong movement in the last trading session, and I'm expecting that it should continue, because looking at the overall momentum that it has gained in the last trading session, I expect that there is a still very strong room left in this counter. Approximately 3740, 3760 should be the immediate target for intraday. So this counter has given a breakout, and I expect that the momentum in this counter should prevail for 1 to 2 trading sessions. So approximately today and tomorrow, there can be strong momentum in CAMS that one can look to accumulate at higher levels.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the brink of opening on Tuesday. Remember, the queues are almost quiet from GIFT Nifty as also overseas. We are in the last phase of the FNO expiry, and the markets have begun with a green foot ahead on the Lal Street. 50 points higher on the Nifty, 100 points higher on the Nifty Bank. Nifty 500 has opened in the green, and there's a mild green tick on Nifty IT as well. Let's immediately focus on the index heavyweights, which are right there in front of us. HDFC Bank, 3 rupees 80 higher, 1676. We have Reliance opening 5 rupees 50 higher, 28,888, and Infosys is flat at about 1526. Let's look at the top gainers as far as prices are concerned. In the index heavyweight space, it's LNT, 26 rupees higher, 3556. Also, you have a very nice green tick coming in on Bajaj Finance. This is about 0.27% higher, and of course you have a nice green tick on ICICI Bank as well. Remember, this is at a record high. So Sakshi, 7 out of 10 index heavyweights are in the green. This is a good sign for the Nifty on the long side, as also for Nifty bulls. One very quick view into NSE 500. Top gainers, Amara Raja, 11% higher, 1535. I think this will be a record high. Yes, this is a record high on the counter. Very, very strong volumes coming in. 11 lakh shares traded. Capri Global, 7% higher. Remember, this is an NBFC. 231 there in front of you. Kims, which is Krishna Institute of Medical Sciences, a stock split ahead, 5% higher, 2150. Borosil Renewables, a QIP in the offing for about 500 crores, 3% higher, 526. You mentioned Kalpataru Par, the counters opening 3.5% higher. This is all good news. Brokerage driven stocks, Zomato, 2.5% higher, 20350. These are good moves that are coming in the market. The Nifty is still 42 points higher. Let's look at a detour into FNO. Most active counters, let us see. Well, Hindustan Aeronautics, why am I not surprised? 0.5% higher, 53.54. HDFC, ICICI Bank in the green. So actually, what's really good is the first 2022 stocks on the top traded list are in the green, and that's a very good sign for the broader markets. Amara Raja's competitor Exide, 1.7% higher, 583. Let's look at all-time highs. Some names that we've always talked about. Indian Hotels, 655. Cummins, 4128. Ashok Leyland, Trent, Grasim and Polycab in the FNO space. Let's mark Nifty 500. Any name that catches my eyes? Maybe Brigade Enterprises, 1418. So the market is opening fairly strong. Anything, Osho, that catches your eye which must be acted upon immediately?
Astral is looking very positive to me. Astral yesterday also has given a very strong breakout backed by volume. So approximately it is hovering near the zone of 2400. So I expect that there is still momentum in the overall space because Astrals, Polycab, Phenolics, pipes, all the space in this sector is looking very positive to me. So from here onwards, Astral can gain some strong move on the higher end. 2440, 2460 should be the immediate target that can be seen. Overall, the breakout has came yesterday. So I expect that from here onwards, 2350 and 2340 now should be acting as a very strong support zone. If there will be any kind of declines, one should definitely try to accumulate this counter for higher target of nearly 2 to 3% for short-term perspective.
Okay, got that. Let's also look at Zomato. It's opening 2.5% higher on top of that brokerage house report that was coming in with targets of 250, 248 odd. It's opening at 203 odd levels. There are some other stocks also going strong. Muthoot Capital on that registration of corporate agency of IRDAI is reacting very positively. I think about 4.5% higher now. Sansera Engineering is up by about 4 odd percent. Those are some of the stocks that caught my attention early in the trade. Apart from this, let's also look at Happiest Minds. The deal is done. I think 8% equity has exchanged hands worth about 903 crores. This is when 1 crore shares have exchanged hands in the early trading action. There's Crystal Internet Services that's up by 5%. We'll look at that one too. Amra Raja already pointed out it's up by about 11 odd percent. TBO Tech, that's another stock that's opening higher sharply, 4% up in trade. And the mid-cap index, viewers, is at a record high level, 55,861, currently 0.5 odd percent of a move. So it's the broader markets that is taking it away in today's trading session. Let's look at the key counters within the mid-cap basket that is hogging all the limelight. Cummins India, 2.5% higher. HDFC AMC up 2.5%. Alchem Laboratories, Torrent Power, CG Power, Piramal Enterprises, APL Apollo Tubes, Indian Hotels, Z Entertainment. These are some of the stocks within the mid-cap basket that are showing strength as of now. Let's go across to Gaurav Ji to really find out where exactly is he looking at in the opening in trade. Gaurav Ji, what catches your attention in the opening?
So, I'm not an intraday guy, but, as I said, some of the spaces which look good to us, and I think the stocks which you can hold on and also buy are this Canfin Homes. In fact, we have this thing upgraded the target price of the stock yesterday itself, and I think it's a play on the entire housing sector. It's likely to show a 15 to 18% kind of growth in advances for the next few years. And I think this is a stock that you can buy on every dip and hold on to it. Dabur is another stock that we think is a very strong buy. Last would be Ashok level. And so I think these stocks, if you are able to buy it at this lower levels or at the same levels opening flat, these stocks could offer you some intraday gains also. But I'm not an intraday guy, and I think if you buy these stocks, you should hold on to them for some time, 6 to 8 months, to get this very handsome kind of appreciation.
Okay, got that.
Fair point. A couple of stocks. Yes, actually, continue, please continue.
No, yes, so I was just saying that it's the small caps also that have inched up higher, Shail. I would think about 1% higher. So the broader markets are hogging all the limelight stocks like Intellect Design, CAMS that Osho had mentioned. It's 4% higher, by the way. What Osho was mentioning right before the opening. It's Hindustan Copper that's also moved up in trade. In fact, it's now the top mover in the F&O space as well. Triveni Turbine is also moving up sharply. Sri Renuka Sugars. So some kind of move coming in the sugar stocks again in trade today. Swan Energy, remember, that is as far as the deal is concerned, is opening about 2% higher. HFCL, that's opening 2% up in trade as well. MCX is also doing well. So, of course, it's the capital markets related stocks that are also hogging the limelight. Osho, CAMS, what's next? It's opened up 3.5%. And what else within the small cap and the mid cap basket that you are looking at?
See, other counter which is looking very positive and has given a very strong breakout is the Radico Khaitan. Radico Khaitan has given a consolidation range, broader range breakout in last trading session, and today there is a follow buying in this counter. So I expect that there will be a gradual move in Radico. Approximately 1900 is the immediate target that one can look for short-term perspective, while on the downtrend, near about 1800 should be acting as the first support zone for short-term traders. So Radico is one of the counter that one should definitely keep in their radar. The other one is Affle. Affle India Limited has seen a very decent move in the last trading sessions, and in this week it has seen a very strong surge of nearly 5% and is on the verge of giving a breakout from a rounding formation. So the time it surpasses the zone of nearly 1340, 1350 odd levels, there can be a strong move that can be seen in this counter for higher target of even 1450 to 1500 odd levels from medium term perspective. So one counter, definitely one should keep this in their radar also. So Affle and Radico are breakout counters, and one should definitely try to gauge momentum once there will be in this counter for short to medium term time frame.
Okay, let me just pay attention to Hindustan Copper. Again, as Sakshi pointed out, this is the top gainer in the F&O space, and the reason is very simple. It just moved out of the F&O ban as far as prices are concerned. So this is something we'll have to look at. 3% higher, and at the moment the counter is at 342 if I'm not wrong. Yes, and it's now being hamstrung by 21-day exponential moving average. Osho, what is the chart strength of Hindustan Copper denoting to you? Are some good times ahead, or is this what it could do and then maybe some profit booking?
See, today definitely there has been very strong move, because in the first 10 minutes the volume has definitely been a very higher end on the robust note. So, but still I expect that as it is just below, hovering below the 21-day exponential moving average. So I'm not very much confident about this counter that whether it will keep on continuing on the higher pace, but definitely I will wait for one more trading session. If it continues to trade above 345 odd levels, then it will be a very strong and suitable candidate to accumulate from short-term perspective. But for the day, it is already approximately 3% higher and it's at a very strong resistance zone. So better not to be very much aggressive in this counter. Yes, definitely if there will be any kind of correction or any kind of cool off comes in this counter towards 333, 32 odd levels, then one should definitely try to accumulate and book their profits around 345. But sustenance of 345 is a very strong thing for this counter. Once it sustains above the, 345, then one can definitely accumulate for short-term profit.
Okay, Sakshi, battery makers are on fire. Let's keep both stocks together. Amara Raja Mobility, 16% higher, 17% higher. Needless to say, this is a record high, 1629, and this is also now turning out to be the second best traded counter in terms of volumes, now 18% higher. Let me just see what the circuit is. Possibly we'll have that in place. Okay, the circuit for today is 1656 on Amara Raja. That is something that people can watch out for. And Exide Industries, change of digit 601. The upper circuit for Exide is 631, so there is still space left, provided it likes to move there. For the moment, up 5% on Exide and up 18% on Amara Raja. Let's get in Mr. Gaurav Dua on this one. Technically, both charts looked overextended. Your view, Gaurav, on these two counters?
So, I think if you're holding the stock, it is fine. Otherwise, I think the valuation have been adjusted down about a year back. So even this thing 4 to 6 months back, the stocks were pretty cheap. However, if the kind of rally that we have seen, the stocks are not cheap anymore. So this is what you are doing is that you are trying to play the momentum, and this thing, as an investor, I think can hold on to it, but I'll not advise investors to now buy these stocks purely for investment. You can just trade on these stocks at these levels.
Got that. Well, apart from this, the other thing that everybody must note is that Nifty Bank has hit a record high. We have a new level of Nifty Bank now, 51,966, as it has been hit in the intraday levels, and old favorites are coming back with the way PSU banks are rallying now, about 0.6% higher in trade, and the likes of Canara Bank are leading the rally. Within the private banks, of course, it is HDFC Bank that is showing the momentum, a percent higher. You also have Bank of Baroda from PSU space that's moving up strongly. Federal Bank, SBI, AU Small Finance Bank, Axis, these are the ones that are hogging the limelight. Osho, to you, how are you looking at the fresh momentum being generated within the banking space, and what are you keeping an eye out on?
See, overall, my expectation with banking is that 52,000 for Bank Nifty is again a very strong resistance. So until it surpasses 52,000 zone on a decisive manner, which I assume that by the expiry it will start moving on the higher note. But till the time we are expected to have the expiry, I am expecting that 52,000 should be acting as a resistance zone for Bank Nifty. So I do not find very strong move in any of the counters which can, from the banking and financial space, which can provide a very strong boost to the overall market. But definitely there are some selective counters from this space which can give you opportunity for the day traders for intraday trading. But for overall market, I will better wait for this expiry to get closed, and after or maybe from the July month expiry, I will start tracking Bank Nifty on the higher end.
Okay, let's get Gaurav ji into the conversation. Gaurav ji, how are you looking at the banking space? Are you tilting towards the private banks that have been so far laggards but are now showing some signs of pullback? Is that a space to be in now?
Yes, as I said in at the start of the show, private sector banks have been laggards. Some of them like HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, Indus Bank. I think these banks are going to do their catch up. Some of the other banks like Axis Bank and ICICI Bank will still see buying. So with these 4 or 5 heavyweights actually doing well, I think the banking index should do well. Apart from this, whatever damage you had to see on this public sector bank side, I think is done. And despite that, you are at a new high in this Bank Nifty. That really shows the strength in this space, and I think this strength will go on. This thing continues. So I think the banking space or the bank index is buy on dips according to me.
Fair point, ladies and gentlemen. The first 15 minutes of trade have happened. Let's look at the Nifty now. The day's low so far, as far as the market is concerned, is 23,570, and the high where it has encountered resistance is exactly 23,600. So for the moment, a 30 point trading range as far as the Nifty is concerned. We'll do a very quick detour into what's happening in the broader markets. The advanced decline ratio is very aggressively in favor of bulls. 1685 shares in the green, 460 shares in the red. So it's basically 7:2. We tracked 19 indices for you, ladies and gentlemen. 16 are in the green, led by the small cap index up 1.1%. The mid cap index is up 0.6% at 12,356. Needless to say, these are at record highs. I just want to mark the Fin Nifty because you have the weekly expiry there. It's rallied how much? 2,600 points from the June 4th low and has added 1,100 points in the month of June. So who says indices don't give you great returns? A third of a percent higher, 23,156. Sakshi, I think it's going to be a day which is devoted to ancillary stocks. I see so many of them doing really great. Amara Raja, 20% higher. This is the circuit limit. Needless to say, this is a record high, 1656. Exide is following suit, 7.5% higher. Shocker maker Gabriel, 458. Craftsman Automation is news-led, 4.5% higher. There's a change in digit in Craftsman Automation, 5,045. Broking company, bearing company, Timken, 4663, 5% higher. And there's a whole host of stocks, 2.5% higher on Banco, Sansera Engineering. They had a massive block deal just recently, 2.3% higher, 1308. Motherson taking it away, 1.5% higher, 191 record high. I think I have about 38 auto ancillary stocks, and just 6 of them are in the red, and those are also very minor losses. Let's get Gaurav into this conversation. Gaurav, your favorite auto ancillary stock. You've just said Amara Raja, Exide are expensive, but I'm sure you have a favorite here as well, which might provide strong traction in the coming 1 year or so.
So we are looking at stocks like Subros, Gabriel India, and the Bharat Forge. So these are the three auto ancillary stocks that we hold in our fund, and I think these are all three at this point also looking good to us.
Okay, let's get Osho into the conversation. Osho, any quick view on the kind of rally that we are seeing in auto ancillary, especially Motherson Sumi in the F&O space? Now, of course, Samvardhana.
Yes, Samvardhana Motherson has seen a very drastic up move. So technically, it has been into overbought territory, but it was since it was at the zone of 165. And from there onwards, there has been no stopping by in this counter in the overbought territory only from 165. Now it is reached to 190 odd levels. So definitely technical parameters are overstretched in many of the auto ancillaries company, as you have mentioned, Amaraja, Exide, Motherson. All these counters are into overbought zone, but there has been continuation in the uptrend. So this time it will be better that one should keep on riding the momentum with a trailing stop loss so that the profits can be taken once there will be any kind of dip. But for fresh accumulation, one should refrain from any kind of fresh accumulation at these high elevated zones. So better not to get into these counters for the time being, but if you are holding it, keep trailing the stop losses at the higher levels and keep riding the momentum.
Okay, the Nifty auto index has moved to the top. In fact, it's up by about 0.7%, led by this entire momentum. But let me draw your attention to the OEMs now, and M&M is now taking it away about 1% higher, 29.44. Remember, we've been discussing how this stock is in focus, and brokerage houses have given higher targets of over 3,000 on this one. Osho, what's next for M&M? Where do you see the targets?
See, overall, this counter again is at a very stronger zone, having a cycle of higher highs, higher lows. currently with the recent move, especially in the last trading session, it has retracted from the 20-day exponential moving average. So I expect that there can be a gradual up move, not very aggressive because the parameters are already in the overbought terrain. But on the short-term perspective, near about 2480 to 3000 is the target that one can expect in M&M for short-term perspective. But for a larger picture, there should be some consolidation or cool off in the overall auto and auto ancillary space that can provide a strong technical boost, and one can definitely try to accumulate for longer durations.
Okay, let me get Gauravji into the conversation. Gauravji, again, the focus will be on the budget and the themes around rural recovery and welfare schemes. There are several, expectations rising with respect to how the government could be putting in more money in the hands of people, and especially focus on the rural space. With that focus in mind, how are you looking at the two-wheelers, the four-wheelers, and the tractor makers at this point in time? Are they, getting ready for a good move in the long term, medium to long term?
Yeah, so some of these stocks have been a laggard, especially from the FMCG space and auto space. Basically, stocks like if you look at Escorts, or if you have a look at this Hero, Dabur, Godrej Consumer. If you look at about how these stocks have done for last 1 year or this in 2 years, they have actually lagged the market. From here, these stocks are looking interesting to us, and we are seeing institutional buying in these stocks. We also like, seeing some of these stocks. In our fund, we are holding M&M and also Escorts. M&M, apart from the revival in the farm equipment space, tractors, what we see is that they are doing extremely well in terms of SUVs. They had this analyst meet, and they also showcased the fact that they'll be launching 3 or 4 EVs, and I think that will make their presence stronger in the auto space. They are doing. I mean, there are a lot of tailwinds available for this stock. We've been holding it from 800 levels in our fund, and we'll just continue to hold the stock.
Okay, okay. All right. So we'll also look at some more pockets right there. Then, apart from the auto space, I'm also looking at these subsectors, which is the textiles. Remember, I've been pointing this sector out for the last few days. And again, some of the stocks are again in momentum today. So, Zodiac Clothing, Mohit Industries, Raymond, they're all in focus, back in trade, Arvind Limited. The entire space seems to be abuzz with action. Let me get in Osho here. Osho, how are you really looking at the momentum here? Seems overstretched with the last few days of a move consistently, or can one still look at this promisingly?
Before I go to the textile industry, I just want to highlight one of the counter from auto ancillary.
Okay.
JBM Auto is giving a fresh breakout on the daily time frame. So one should definitely try to gauge momentum, because this counter has seen a very strong traction in the last two sessions. And today, above 2140 was the breakout zone for JBM Auto, and it has given a breakout nearly 2150 is the current levels. So one should definitely try to accumulate this counter on the higher end. 2300 should be the target that one can expect from positional basis on, let's say,
Okay.
1 to 2 weeks kind of a target for JBM. Now coming to the textile industries, there are various counters that are looking very positive to me, and they have already given a very fresh movement also. For example, Raymond in the last three sessions has given a very strong movement in the from the textile industry. So definitely, if one is having or holding the position, then one should keep on holding the positions. But currently, majority of the counters are into a overbought terrain. So overall market is only at a very overbought terrain for the timing. So one should keep on trying to ride the momentum rather than accumulating it at a fresh levels at these elevated zones. So if you have the position, keep holding the positions, and try to trail your stop losses to the higher zones.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the view that is coming on the auto ancillary pack. Remember, it's a runaway trade led primarily by two battery makers. What else is buzzing in the market? Well, it's the Nifty Bank, a third of a percent higher. Let's drill down into the statistics of Nifty Bank and see where exactly is traction coming. Okay. The top gainer is, of course, surprise, surprise, HDFC Bank. Now, this is really, really inciting. You have an open interest of 2.9% as well on the long side. So, Sakshi, I think it's more or less set as far as the bank is concerned, the index is concerned. Once 33% of index weightage moves into top gear, you are going to have a great day on this one. So, needless to say, 51,884 is something which is very, very close to a record high. In fact, I'm pretty sure that we did hit a record high on the Nifty Bank a couple of seconds ago. Yes, we did. The record high is 51,966, primarily led by HDFC Bank. Your view, Osho, on this one? At the moment in futures, it's at 1684 and a 3.7% uptick on open interest as well.
See, overall, HDFC Bank is definitely looking very positive to me comparatively to other private sector banks. But it is at a very strong resilience zone, approximately 1700, which was the previous swing high. It is the zone where where HDFC Bank have seen some kind of resilience in the month of December and starting of the January this year. And from there onwards, it has came down towards the zone of 1350, 1360 odd levels. So again, it is reaching the same zone, and at the same time, we are witnessing a very overbought zone for on the technical development. So I'm not very much aggressive for this counter for the time being at these levels, but definitely I hope it should give a very strong breakout above 1700, because then only we can see a Bank Nifty to move in the uncharted territory, and the undertone will be definitely will be with the bulls. But looking at the practical and technical parameters, I expect that there can be some kind of cool off or consolidation that can happen in HDFC Bank in the zone of 1640 to 1700. And definitely one should try to keep the pragmatic approach of buy the dips and sell on the rise in this counter until it gives a decisive breakout above 1700 or.
Right. We'll also mark two stocks in the cash markets. Raymond, fresh record high, rallying for the third day in a row, 2739, and a strong volume show, as also something that Osho had highlighted in his opening commentary, which is Petronet LNG. 330 for you, ladies and gentlemen, and this rally is young, fourth day in a row, and needless to say, a record high. Over to you, Osho, for these two stocks.
See, from here onwards, definitely Petronet has given a fresh breakout, so I expect the momentum to continue. On the higher end, 340 should be the immediate target, because it has given a range breakout and even a V-shaped recovery in the last 4 to 5 trading candles. So I expect the target comes around 340 for the short-term perspective. And coming to Raymond, Raymond has already been into overstretched zone. So I don't expect a very strong momentum from here onwards, but definitely looking at the 3 candles in the last three trading sessions. But one should definitely see the volumes. The candle has been seeing a very strong up move, but at the same time, the volumes are on a declining phase. So one should not be very much aggressive in Raymond for the time being. If someone is holding, keep holding the counter with a strict stop loss of nearly 2600 or maybe 2580. And if there will be any kind of dip or consolidation towards 26 or 2550 odd levels, then one can look to accumulate from positional basis, medium term time frame.
Okay, got that. What we'll do, viewers, is we'll also thank Gaurav ji for being with us on this special edition. Gaurav ji, your call on a show, Cleland, the stock is at a fresh high. So thanks for sharing such interesting stock ideas and strategies and overall market outlook for all our viewers. And it's always good to have you with us, and we will continue to be looking at all of those ideas from you, even going forward from here. So hope you have a great time till we meet next on air as well. Also, as Gauravji has indicated that both Sher Khan and him personally would have vested interest in the stocks that that have been mentioned by him on air in today's trading session as well. Let's go back to the market. What else is ticking is the consumer durable space now. Some of them moving higher. V-Guard, Blue Star, Havells, Amber, Whirlpool, Dixon Technologies again at a fresh high, 11,721 for this one. So entire space seems to be in momentum. Anything that catches your fancy here, Osho, within the consumer durable space?
As of now, there are some counters which are looking positive to me. For example, Havells and Voltas both have given a very decent move in the recent period. But looking at the overall terrain, overall setup, I expect that Voltas has the tendency to outperform. Havells has the tendency to outperform Voltas in the short term period because it has consolidated near the 21-day exponential moving average, and in the last 2 or 3 trading sessions it has gained decent traction backed by volume. So I expect that Havells could see a decent move near about 1950 and 1960 is the target that I expect in a very short term perspective. But overall, not very much aggressive in the target. There can be a small and gradual up move that can be seen, but the trend remains on the higher end. So definitely one should keep holding this counter for short to medium term perspective. Immediately 1960 should be the target. And once there will be some kind of consolidation or cool off happening in these counters, then we can witness a definitely higher move in the coming period.
It's moving higher now, 73 points up, 23,608. We're just about 55 points away from the all-time high level, even on the Nifty right now. So a strong move that is buzzing in. Let's look at the key counters that are pulling the index higher. So it's HDFC Bank that's contributing about 26 points on the Nifty move. Reliance is contributing about 5.5. Axis Bank is contributing about 5 points, and Ultratech Cement is contributing about 4 points to this sharp move. Shail, what else are you looking at?
Sakshi, I think we'll focus on Craftsman Automation. Is there a party happening in the office? People are clapping all around.
Sports team, and which constantly is abuzz with all the action because it's the World Cup, and whenever there are some exciting moments, that doesn't stop them from elating and celebrating within the office as well. So while we are doing the serious business, it's them, they're having the party right there.
No, I mean cricket is serious business, Sakshi. I think PCR tells me that Bangladesh versus Afghanistan is happening while we are unable to update the score online. But with the clapping all around, one thing is for certain, I don't know who's winning, but Australia is going back home, and that is such a big relief for cricket watchers such as us. How should I say? It's been a great run so far. Nifty Bank 52,000, record high. A new digit has come into existence, and ditto for the Nifty, 23,616 in cash, and it's just taken out its most recent resistance of 23,613. Let's see whether this happens or not. Okay, let me just find out an option trade for our viewers. What we will do is we look at the latest on 4th of July. So the weekly expiry PCR of Nifty on 4th of July, and let's look at some momentum play. So we look at 23,600 call, 23,600 call trading at 216 rupees, expiring on July 4th. Osho, how does it look on the charts? Does it merit an attention on the long side? What would your advice be? This has hit 339 earlier, at the moment available at 222.
See, overall, I expect that there can be some kind of consolidation for the next two trading session. On the expiry day, there can be a strong volatility that I expect Nifty to see. But overall, there can be some consolidation on the higher end. Immediately, I am setting up the overall setup that once when people should take 23,600 call option. So I expect that for the coming 1 to 2 trading session, Nifty will be hovering within 23,500 to 23,650 odd levels, and this will obviously decay the premium of 23,600 of the next expiry. So after the expiry session of June, one can definitely look to gauge the momentum of 23,600 or even 23,700 call option, but wait for two trading sessions, especially on the day of expiry. On that day, one can definitely look to get the opportunity to accumulate 23,600 or 700 call option of the next expiry. So after 2 days, there can be a strong move that can be seen in Nifty. But for these 2 days, I am not very much optimistic, and there can be a slender range movement that can be seen for Nifty as well as Bank Nifty.
Fair point. I'd just like to mark HDFC Bank and put a thought in the minds of our viewers. If you look at the monthly chart, the all-time high for HDFC Bank is 1757, which we saw in July 2023. So almost a 1-year period has lapsed when we saw such prices. Given the momentum that we are seeing in the Nifty Bank and how HDFC Bank has started to click, this is something that needs to be kept in mind. Let's take a nice detour into the FNO space. We are already at 9:53. Let's do some stock hunting here. So HAL 2.6% higher, 54.55. Now that HAL is already here, please also note the all-time high for HAL, which is somewhere in this vicinity only. This was hit 4 days ago, 55.82. Now if 55.82 is taken out, then HAL will have a very strong show. What else is moving at the moment apart from these two? One is BEL. This is a relatively low volatile stock in the defense pack. Coming to you, Osho, very provocatively placed on the charts as far as BEL is concerned. Would you have a view here? All-time high was on a day before voting patterns became clear, 323. What are the charts telling you?
See, overall, the trend is definitely very positive for BEL and all the defense counter. But the plus point or the positive setup that can be seen is the last candle. Yesterday, there has been a very strong movement in this counter, and on the lower end, the lows of approximately 297 now should be acting as a very strong support zone for this counter. And I would recommend one to buy this counter, keeping a stop of 297. On the higher end, the target is of the lifetime high, nearly to 320, 325 odd levels. The time it breaches that zone, then we can expect a decent up move. But for the timing, short-term traders can definitely buy this counter for target of nearly 325. Overall, the defense space has always been one of in the flavors, and definitely I expect this should continue for the next 2 to 3 trading weeks. So definitely a buy recommendation on BEL.
Nifty Bank has crossed 52,000 mark for the very first time. We are seeing a strong over 300 point of a move on the Nifty Bank. And of course, it's led by banks like HDFC that are contributing the most to the gains. Axis Bank, SBI, ICICI Bank, Bajaj Finance. These are the counters that are aiding the move on the Nifty Bank right now. Osho, your sense of where should one really look at to participate in this fresh move within the Nifty Bank?
From this one, if I have to pick, then ICICI Bank will be the preferred one for me. I expect because the overall trend for this counter is very positive. It has recently given a fresh breakout. So I expect that there can be a momentum that can be seen in this counter. Not very much aggressive on the target. I expect 1185, 1200 will be the tops for this counter for the short-term perspective only. there can be some kind of dip that should be utilized. Approximately 1150, 1140 will be the apt level to accumulate this counter for a higher target of 1190 to 1200 for short-term perspective.
Okay, got that. So that's within the banking space. Let me just shift focus to the FNO space to see what else is moving. There are some of the counters which we have already discussed, like Exide, like HAL. But Jubilant Foodworks is something that I wanted to discuss with you, Osho. There has been a consistent move within this stock within from the last few odd trading sessions. Is this a move that you're tracking closely?
Jubilant Food has given a very strong move in the last few sessions, so I expect that there could be some kind of cool off in this counter that can be seen because of two observations. One, the technical developments has already been on the overbought trajectory, so I do not expect it to move any further from here onwards. Secondly, the previous swing high was near about 580, 582 odd levels, so that can be acting as a very strong resistance for this counter. So definitely one should not be very much aggressive and wait for some kind of consolidation towards the zone of 570, 560. If there will be any consolidation towards the zone, then there can be an opportunity to freshly accumulate this counter for higher target of 580. The time it breaches 580, then definitely there can be a strong move over 620 and 630 odd levels.
9:57, ladies and gentlemen. The markets are in fit shape. You've had two record highs on the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty. The small cap and the mid cap indices continue to be in fairly strong momentum on the long side. Fresh buying is visible on stocks such as Patanjali. We haven't discussed this for a very long while. I think 1573 is the price that I see. 1543, my apologies. This is a breakout that has happened. Yes, this is something that maybe Osho should look at. Osho, strong move, highest since 30th April, and this is broken out of at least a 2-week zone. What are the charts of Patanjali telling you?
See, definitely it is very positive looking at the technical developments because it has turned around from the cluster of its moving averages. Specifically, the 200 day SMA was at today's low near about the zone of 1440 odd levels. So this kind of movement from these important levels are very important for or are very crucial for short-term traders from here onwards. Looking at the trend and the volume that it has gained in the 30, 40 odd minutes. So I expect that from here onwards, there can be a positional buy in this counter. Immediately, the swing high of approximately 1610, 1600 odd levels can be seen as the first target for those who will be accumulating this counter at current levels. And once it breaches the zone of 1600 on a decisive and on a closing manner, then we can see a continuation towards 1650, 1660 odd levels from positional basis.
Chaliye, this is what is coming in from Patanjali. A large block deal just happened, 7.39 crores on Patanjali. 47,617 shares were traded in a single transaction. Another one happening at 1557. So please keep this one in your radar. And Sakshi, what has started to move is Indus Stars. Remember, one of the finest block deals that recently took place for about 17,000 from one single seller, and overall for about 26,000 happened on Indus Star. Osho, what are the charts of Indus Star telling you?
See, overall, Indus Star is into a consolidation phase. There has not been very significant development from the month of mid-May. So there is a very strong consolidation in this counter. I expect that it should give a fresh movement over the zone of 350 odd levels. The time it breaches the zone of 350, then we can witness approximately 20 point of movement on the higher end. So basically 330 is a very strong support and 350 is a very strong resistance for this counter. Any breakout above 350 can provide a thrust towards 370 for short-term traders.
Okay. What we'll also mark is Axis Bank. This is now moving in this zone of its all-time high, 1243. Remember, it's the bank sector that is creating one of the finest moves in the market. Yes, this will be an all-time high, which earlier was 1246. We are already at 1243, and seeing the very, very strong momentum that is coming across the banking space, particularly the banking on the private space. This is looking exciting. Before we let you go, Osho, your view on Axis Bank.
See again, ICICI and Axis Bank both are highly correlated. So I expect the momentum should be gained or be lost in both the counters. So I expect with the momentum in Axis Bank, definitely there can be some upside movement, but I expect that 1250 is the first resistance. The time it breaches the zone of 1250, then there can be 20 to 25 point of movement that can be seen. So on the higher end, 1270 is the target, 70-75 should be the target, while on the lower end, 1220 should be seen as a strict stop loss for a day trader who will be taking positions in Axis Bank for the day. So overall trend is very bullish, but I expect that we can witness some kind of consolidation in major of the banking space. So that is why I am not very much bullish. Only for 2-3 trading sessions. Maybe after 2-3 trading sessions, I will be very aggressively buying on these counters. So that can happen. But for 2 sessions, I will be waiting for a confirmation for Bank Nifty, and after that, we'll be having a very decisive view on all the banking space.
Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll thank Osho Krishnan for joining us for an extended 1 hour today. Thank you, Osho. It's always a pleasure to host you on Market Today, and we wish you a profitable trading day, as also the number of days and hours ahead. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is 10 a.m. on the clock. Almost a very, very nice uptick that you've seen on this lovely Tuesday morning. While the Nifty and the Bank Nifty remain range bound, there are signs of further momentum getting built into this market. We are now joined by Mr. Sanjay Sinha. He's the founder of Citrus Advisors, and over the last 35 years actually, Mr. Sinha has tracked the broader markets with the UTI Mutual Fund from 1989 to 2005, with SBI Mutual Fund from 2005 to 2008. Then he had a short stint with the L&T Mutual Fund as well. And for the last 12 years, he's the founder of Citrus Advisors. Namaste, Sinha Sahab. What a pleasure to host you. We welcome you with a record high on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. The mood, sentiment, and the underlying granularity of markets is something that we've always dreamt of and hoped that it would happen in our lifetimes. It has. How do you interpret the current sentiment on the Lal Street?
Well, I guess, there are two feelings which are running parallel to that. One is a lot of confidence in India's ability to take its position among the top 3 major economies in years to come. And the second feeling that is also running parallel is the feeling of being left out. We are all aware that India is grossly underowned equity, and though belated, that realization has dawned on a large population of India, and they are buying equity with a gusto. We are seeing that flows coming via mutual funds. We are also seeing that reflected in the number of demat accounts that are getting added day by day. We now have close to 2 million demat accounts. The number was just 1/3 of this number a couple of years back. So I think both these feelings are supplementing each other, in the sense that there is now a realization that if you want to participate in the broader economic growth, the best way to go would be as an asset class. And the fact that the equity as an asset class has also been performing very strongly has sort of reinforced that structural view. In Frequently, we do have some misgivings or some, you can say, pullbacks when you have an event. Like, for example, the run up to the election, we had some misgivings. Then, when the actual election results came out, we had even a higher level of disappointment. But these events notwithstanding, structurally, I think the Indian markets are set for a fairly strong bull run in the next few years to come.
Okay. Sinha Sahab, there is some view emerging in the market that the re-rating of India seems to have run its course, and from now on the movement that you will see on major indices, at least the leading ones, will be in line with earnings growth of maybe 10-12% depending upon which sector you track and how lucky you get in terms of your entry price. What is your view here from now on? Where do we see the Nifty, say 1 year from now? What would be the CAGR rate? And are there signs of overheating on some sectors?
So the fundamental answer to your question is that the markets will always remain a slave to earnings. You might have periods in which there can be excesses,
Yes.
and there can be excesses on both sides. The markets can be euphoric, the markets can be pessimistic. But in the long run, markets will always track the underlying valuation of the company. And that's how you see the long-term graph of the market as a straight line. It is a pure reflection of the fact that the earnings growth in India have been on a structural upswing. Having said that, what is it that we can expect from the Nifty the next 1 year or maybe the next 1 or 2 years? On that, what normally happens is the market tends to discount the future far ahead of the actual event itself. So therefore, we have closed FY24 on a very strong earnings growth. There is an expectation that with a supportive government policy and benign monsoon and global economy not meeting any accident, this sort of growth should be sustained in FY25 also. Now, whether the market discounts this after 12 months or whether it discounts it in the first 6 months itself will be a function of the liquidity that is coming into the market. We are aware that foreign institutional investors have been net sellers in the market, whereas the domestic institutions have been very aggressive buyers. The last month's net equity flows to mutual fund has been a historic high of 35,000. So with that sort of liquidity, if you have the domestic liquidity coming from and the FII flows also coming in a very big way, or if not coming in a big way, changing direction from a negative to a neutral or positive, you will actually see these levels getting discounted in the market even before the 12 months are out. Now to the second part of your question as to whether there are pockets of overvaluation. Yes, there are certain themes which seem to be catching the fancy of the market. These are themes on certain sectors where we have seen a good amount of rally. And yes, there are pockets of overvaluation that are getting built in pockets, and you will need to tread with caution and not simply rush headlong into buying any stock in these sectors to avoid a hard burn.
Fair point. Would you want to name those sectors?
So yes, in the sense that the 4 sectors which they have caught the fancy of the market, and then you see a lot of money flowing into sectors are railways, defense, power, okay, and of late you also see some leanings towards the infrastructure space. Now, in these 4 sectors, I will not say that they have run their course or they have run out of steam, but within these 4 sectors, you can see that there are certain stocks which have run far ahead of their justifiable valuation. And therefore, you need to be a little careful in terms of stock selection. So if you don't do that, I think there is a chance that you might have to end up holding these stocks for a very long period of time before your sort of returns expectations are met.
Okay, fair point. It's good that you mention a couple of stocks and sectors which are entirely related to the PSU theme, which dovetails into my next question. Sira Saab, you've been a veteran of the markets. You've seen it all for 35, 40 years now. We are ahead of the budget, and just as the rising of the sun and the rising of the moon are certainties in the natural world, so is a pre-budget rally, and that's what's now right there in front of us in open markets. One, what are your expectations from the budget in terms of tweaking of the taxation structure of markets, and what are the broad themes that you think are running in the minds of fund managers, in the minds of equity strategists when they await the document?
So, taking it from a top-down basis, I would say that one of the primary apprehensions of the market is that how much will government yield to the coalition partner. We have seen that in the composition of the ministry, there has not been much of a give and take. But the budget will be the actual document where the hard numbers are presented, and that is where we will see as how much have the coalition partners prevailed in terms of influencing the economic policy. So I think that is number one. Number two, in my personal opinion, I think if the government is going to use this budget to paint their vision for the next 5 years, and going by the whatever one has heard in the media, I expect this budget to paint a fairly picture of growth in the next 5 years. So as a vision document, I think this budget will end up probably enthusing the market more than what it has been. Coming to more specific tax proposals, I guess that there is now an expectation that the income tax relief would now be extended to those with income up to 15 lakh or so. And this I'm saying not because of an authority, but I'm purely going by what the media reports have been saying. And in the past, we have seen that whenever the personal income tax has peaked, it has given a fillip to the market. And if you look at it from the relationship with the market, the relationship is that if you raise the taxation limit for middle class, the logical interpretation is that you're going to put more money in their hands to spend, and therefore consumption, which is the bedrock for economic growth in India, that gets a fairly strong boost. In today's context, amongst all the sectors of the market, one sector that still has not participated in this way are the so-called consumer staples or the fast-moving consumer goods space. Part of this has come from the fact that rural savings has the rural consumption has not been very good. Part of it has also come because there are limitations to growth on the higher base on which that thing. But therefore, I believe that if the income tax limits are raised, this could be a big boost to these sectors which I mentioned. In terms of market's apprehension, I can that also out here, is that there is the misgiving that keeps coming up with every budget that the capital gains tax structure might be big. I know this apprehension has once again come to the fore and will get heightened as we come close to the budget. So that is one apprehension that the market as far as the budget.
Fair point. We've moved from a state when all taxes, all profit on equity markets and mutual fund sales were tax-free, and we've adjusted to a fairly, how should I say, restrictive regime when it comes to taxes that are there in the market, and whatever changes happen, we'll take them in our stride and then move on. Sanjay ji, let's look at the private banking space. This has been truly one of those phenomenal wealth creators between 1994 until about 2017-18. There are many millionaires and billionaires in the Lal Street who've made supernormal money on HDFC Bank, ICICI, Axis, Kotak in particular. But somehow the trade got a bit weakened over the last 3-4 years. On what part of the equation do you stand? What is Citrus Advisors telling its clients in terms of its top picks in the private banking space? Does this rally that we see on the Bank Nifty have legs?
So the rally that you are seeing in Bank Nifty is also slightly technical in nature, in the sense that the largest weight
Yes.
private sector bank has been on the receiving end of a lot of selling by foreign investors. And unfortunately, this has happened at a time when that bank underwent a restructuring and merged with the parent. So therefore, two things got combined together, and where the largest participant was not participating in the rally or what recovery that we've seen in the private banking sector, you did not see overall sentiment for the large cap private sector banks change substantially. However, while this was happening with the largest player, the other banks which had changed their business model, had moved from retail banking to corporate banking, they did very well in the phase in which corporate lending was more a flavor, and there were more concerns on the risk associated with the retail lending. I think we are now in a phase where the foreign institutional has abated. We also cannot deny the fact that the future growth of India has to pass the banking sector in totality. Given the fact that the private sector banks have been occupying a larger market share year on year, this is going to be an ongoing trend, very reversed. So I think as a structural trend, this sector is going to be part and parcel of the market, and there could be very small phases in which they could be underperforming the market. They have done the last couple of months, but on a longer term basis, I don't think this sector will be underperforming the market on an overall. So this sector needs to be a sector that has to be taken, which is, having said that, you also need to be cognizant of the fact that in the initial phase of the private sector banks taking an entry in India, there were 3 or 4 dominant banks sort of led the entire narrative. But now the second line of banks are also making their presence. So given the fact that market today leans equally between mid cap and large cap, I think there could be the mid cap private sector banking space as well as the large cap banking space, private sector space. It could be opportunities, and they will continue to be marketed.
Okay, fair point. And yes, we have these earnings cycle which peak and they go into a trough. We've seen the peaking of the earnings cycle in the PSU banking space, accompanied by some very robust price action over the last 30 odd months, and this was a time when the background on private sector banks may have sort of got muted a bit. Nevertheless, these are market actions, and that is how markets progress. Sinha sir, you've also been known as a quality stock picker in the markets for creating long-term wealth for your unit holders in the 3 asset management companies that you worked for about 25 years. In the mid cap and the small cap space, one, how are you advising new clients to navigate these at current levels, and are there any old time favorites in the mid caps and small caps which you believe that over the medium term, say 2-3 years, will still create wealth for patient shareholders?
So, our you may be aware that we run portfolios. One is a multi-cap portfolio called the sector leader, and then there is a mid-cap portfolio called mid-cap market. Today, when a client comes to us and asks us to how much should we allocate to those, our standard response right now is that 60% of the allocation, if he has to divide it, should be to the multi-cap portfolio and only 40% to the mid-cap. And in fact, if he is keen on only one portfolio, we are recommending that he take the multi-cap portfolio with the sector leader. Why is it that we are saying that? Because see, there was a phase which our mid-cap picks did phenomenally well. But, we have across the 25 stocks that we have in our mid-cap portfolio, there are at least close to more than half a dozen stocks which have appreciated between 2 to 500%. But today, for me, if I have to go for a new stock pick, I find that there is a challenge. One is that either I have to go up the valuation curve or I have to go down the quality curve. Now, given that sort of dilemma, I think it is not a very happy situation to be in when you get no money and you have to therefore take picks. Most of these stocks which have rallied in the past, like I said, so many of them have multi-baggers. On the higher base that they have now attained, even for me, it is difficult to justify that from that base they can be multi-baggers going forward. So the universe of quality stocks that I can select from has got smaller now compared to what it was in the past. But there is there is a positive side to this story also, which is that given the supply of paper that is coming into the market, I'm affecting not just paper that has come now, but which has come in the last couple of years. Some of these new papers have given us an exposure to sectors that were not represented in the past. Like, for example, electronic manufacturing and services did not have a representation in the market before. But now you have 4 companies have come in. So from this sort of space, you can also now make stock selection. But I will again repeat that the challenge on picking up stocks from the mid cap space is now much higher than what it was.
Yes, and this is a conundrum. On a daily basis, we get elated to see our stock holdings hit record highs, but to deploy fresh capital is one of those terrible exercises which fund managers and equity strategists such as you have to go on a regular basis, and to justify valuations and hope that prices will move on further in the same direction just as they have been moving over the last maybe 15 months is a tough task indeed. I just wanted to understand on the behalf of our viewers, what is the cash level that you have overall in the 2 or 3 portfolio schemes that you offer, sir?
So on an average, we have close to about 10% of cash. Okay, and that is also a cash that we had created tactically before the election. The election results are out, the event is before us, and therefore we are selectively deploying that cash. But the challenge, to answer your question, for the new money that is coming in, so I am taking as many as 2 to 3 months to deploy the entire money that is coming in, because given the euphoria that's in the market, it may not be a very wise idea to deploy everything.
Fair point. And before we end this wonderful discussion, Sinha Sahab, maybe 1 or 2 stock ideas that you can leave our viewers with in the mid cap and the small cap space for the longer term, not tomorrow, day after, not even 1 month, 2 months, but let's look at a decent holding period and higher than average market returns, expectations of that.
If you will allow me this license that to avoid a stock specific discussion, Can I just answer your question in a little more broader way? And I think, that could also benefit your viewers. I believe that,
Please do.
there is no need for an average retail investor to buy a stock in a company that he does not understand. One of the spaces which is easiest for a retail investor to understand, because, that is something that is all around us. My advice to them is look beyond what you always understood to be consumption as being made up of essentials. Consumption is now a much broader theme. It is made up of your entertainment. It is made up of even high ticket items of consumption, such as automobiles. It is also made up of proxy plays to consumption, such as what to improve your house. I think these are plays which are uh, correlated to the rising per capita income in India. And if you can intuitively identify that these are the plays where the rising per capita income get deployed, you will actually have a long-term return.
Fair point, Sanjay ji. We'll take it as advice written on stone, and Aspirational India is doing phenomenally well on the last street. Thank you so much for this wonderful insight. And as always, it's been a pleasure learning from you over the last 30 minutes. I hope you have a great time and your investors make supernormal money in the coming years and decades ahead. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for your kind words.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll draw to a close this morning show. We leave the Nifty at 55 points higher, 23,600 for you, and the Nifty Bank. This is where the story is today. 382, 52,084, record high that you've seen in the markets. And of course, let's look at where volumes are and where action is on the long side. There is absolutely strong move happening on the two battery makers. Amara Raja Mobility 16% higher now. Earlier it was up 20%. Excite Industries 3% higher, 591. Both these counters have already clocked record volumes, 2,100 crores on Amara Raja batteries, and Excite Industries is showing a volume of 1544 crores. Apart from that, it's a very strong show on Happiest Minds. A very large block deal of about 91 lakh shares has happened on this one. The volume today is 1227 crores. Then you have the usual suspects, HAL, HDFC Bank, Zomato, ICICI Bank, bringing up the rear. Remain glued to Business Today television, ladies and gentlemen, for all your news needs on the financial markets. It's me bidding you goodbye for now.
Joining me is Samir from IMC. Thank you so much for joining us on India Today. My first question to you is,